Welcome everyone to the Tech Podcast series. This is Lakshit Pan from Azure Developer Community. In this series, so far we are covering education, technology, background, and all the industry per se. We are meeting with all these young co-founders, founders who are driving the Indian ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, and to shed light on this transformative journey and all these initiative. Today we are having a trailblazer with us from with whom we'll be sharing the real world insights and to from imparting real world insights to preparing students for the competitive cooperative background. Crack ed stands for the forefront of educational innovation. For the same, we have Mr. Debojit Sen, co-founder of Crack ed. And just to kick off this podcast, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, Lakshit. Hey, everyone. Fantastic to be on the platform and sharing my knowledge and experiences. As he rightly put out, my name is Debojit. I'm the co-founder for Cracked. It's a upskilling platform. We are trying to transform the way freshers and young professionals become more employable, starting with our country, Bharat, and then to the rest of the world. Before this, I have more than a decade and a half experience in the corporate space. And before that, I'm an engineer and an MBA from some of the top institutes of the country. Great to be on the platform, Lakshit.
Starting with our first question, we say we are helping the in the Indian ecosystem to build the in the skill development and the transforming learning journey. Can you give a quick overview how Crack and how its mission has been there in transforming learning and skill development?
See, I'll have to start to answer this question from what is the need, what was the white space that we could identify in the market. If you look at the reality of our country, there are more than 70 lakh students who are graduating every year. Out of those 70 lakhs, about approximately 20 lakh students end up getting a job, and which is an entry level job. Remaining 50 lakhs remain unemployable even after their graduation, after they've finished their graduation degree. That's, we are talking about 5 million students per annum. Over and above that, the 20 lakhs that have gotten the job, Lakshit, in that also about half of them don't deserve to get a job because they are not necessarily employable, or they don't have the employability quotient or the employable skills that ideally are needed in a job. So when I started Cracked, I realized this is a huge white space, and therefore, if I can do something in order to help these students land up a job, it's going to be a revolution for a country like ours to increase employment. In fact, the government of India is also doing a lot of things on the same lines in order to increase employment. When I got into the details of the problem, I realized the major issue was the fact that students are not able to pitch themselves confidently when they're going for an interaction, when they're going for an interview, even while they're filling forms for certain jobs, whether it be a government job or a private job. Their basic skills of expressing their own candidature in a writing form is very, very weak. Now, when I realize these problems, I realize the first thing that needs to be solved is how can I give confidence to them so that they at least represent themselves well. Cracked was born with that. And now, over the last 1.5 years, what we have done is we have developed various modules that can help students get equipped with that confidence. Now, confidence is an outcome. To get to that outcome, you need various skills like great spoken communication, great written communication, ability to listen well, ability to have great body language, ability to understand how tonality works, idea of how you need to groom yourself well, basics of English, basics of even if you're fluent in Hindi, how can you express yourself fluently? So the answer I realized was more in soft skills and life skills as compared to the technical skills.
Totally agree with your question, and still I really want to know what would have been your inspiration to founding Cracked, and how you have seen this gap everyone talks about this gap that exists in the educational ecosystem. We talk about syllabuses that we have been going through for all these couple of years. So what has been the inspiration of starting your own venture?
Actually, in this, the biggest thing happened during COVID, and I got a lot of friends who not only lost their jobs but also faced salary cuts. And over and above that, I knew hundreds of graduates who were not even able to land a job. The problem was not that they were not getting jobs. The problem was they were not even confident that they can fight it out and get a job. And that underconfidence was coming from the lacking education system, unfortunately, of our country. which equips students just with technical knowledge and bookish knowledge, and not necessarily the kind of skills that are required to succeed in a corporate life. And that's where the gap was kind of identified and cracked was born. And it's come a little journey now from there.
Jumping off to the learning and development part, in what ways do you believe crack programs differ from all the, maybe, when we say traditional educational institutions that already exist, coexist? So what are the difference that you see?
I think all of us would understand and agree on the fact that learning happens when you are able to experience a certain phenomena. If I tell you that there is photosynthesis happening on the leaves, it's just a theoretical knowledge for you. But if I can actually take you to a garden, give you a microscope, and tell you that, okay, notice the changes that are happening inside this leaf when sunlight falls on it, and due to which the color changes from yellow to green. Once you see that for yourself, your learning is very different. So the first big change that crack brings in is its activity oriented experiential learning that's happening on a live format. Now, one of my biggest competitors would be all the other edtech players, where mostly the sessions are recorded, and even classroom sessions that happens in schools and colleges are theoretical in nature, not necessarily experiential in nature. So the first
Right.
biggest USP that we have in cracked is the experiential format of learning. Second is, I think we link it back to direct real jobs that people can get. I'm not just saying that I'll upskill you, I'm also saying that I have thousands of jobs waiting for you at the end of the tunnel, at the end of this course or learning, which you can take up if you prepare well and if you understand what we are teaching well. So that becomes a clear USP again.
Yeah, so coming to the the USP that you have, I just wanted to really ask a little bit a question about the same. Like, is this a, maybe when we say online model, or entirely do you have experience center in multiple cities, or is it alliance with the educational institution, or how it works exactly?
See, it's an interesting model. How the business works is, first is most of the sessions are happening online. 80% you can assume, where all the activities and assignments are also happening online, where it's in an immersive format. With the help of both trainers as well as AI, it becomes an immersive format where you feel like you're experiencing a certain. Let's say you're learning active listening. Now, in active listening, you just like you're shaking your head right while I'm talking, it's a very simple format of saying that I'm listening to you. And then there are multiple other ways by which you realize that, okay, a person is actively, aggressively listening to me or just is a bystander. So
Right.
similarly, learning, and we train the students on these simple things in an online format. The rest 20% Lakshit happens in the corporates where we have partnerships. So we don't have separate assets or infrastructure built for crack, but all our corporate partners allow students to come for on the job training before they join their jobs, where they learn even more, which is the rest of the 20%. So whatever we have taught them, that becomes real when they actually go to the corporate and do a project or a live internship, and thus become even more trained to eventually enter the corporate world. So it's a combination of online and offline. The offline bit of it is with corporate partners.
Rolling back, you had told us about the online model, right? Did you ever try going after the, maybe the immersive format, right? When we say about AR or VR format, that is quite a little bit expensive as well, but at the moment it provide more experience learning. And yeah, so have you ever tried? Is there any segment for this?
Right now we don't have an independent AI or VR format, but AI is a very integral part of how our courses are built. So, for example, we have an AI called Abhyas, which helps students prepare for interviews better. So, maybe you can get, let's say, you can imagine yourself sitting in front of a system where you say, "Prepare me for a job in Google, where I want to become a data analyst." Now, Abhyas will ask you 10 questions that are linked to that kind of a job in Google, and depending on what you answer, will rate you as per whether you are a 4 on 10 or a 7 on 10 or a 10 on 10. And it's a visual AI that we use. And similarly, you can also say, give me a sales job in Axis Bank, and then it will ask you a very different set of 10 questions. And
Right.
thus, with more and more abhyas means practice, with more and more practice with this AI, you become better in your preparation for individual jobs. So that's the kind of AI we're using right now, but not really immersive VR that we have used in our sessions.
Okay, so you have also mentioned about the corporate partnership, the 20% of the model. You have partnerships like CarDekho, Swiggy, and multiple other companies, corporates, right? So, is it like the shadow period of the any employee, right? When they join, pre-joining, they have to go through a training period, right? So you come there in that training period and you educate that those folks in some kind of skills. Is the same? Am I on the right pace?
Yeah, very very close. What we do, what these companies do, we have more than 80 corporate partners, all top companies that we have that hire in bulk. These corporate partners hire anywhere between 50 to 200 candidates from us every month. Now, before they are finally absorbed in the system, most of these corporate partners allow a live project or an internship in the company. It can be of 2 weeks also. It can be go up to 3 months also. Because most of my candidates are primarily freshers, this phase helps my candidates to also understand the culture of the corporate, understand how they work, understand their KPIs and KRS before they get the final job offer. So it kind of becomes a win-win for both the corporate and the candidate to fulfill their internship requirements also, and also kind of take the best eventually after the internship or the project period is over.
Okay, so Debojit, as you are working on the both two segments, like from the educational background as well and the corporate as well, and there is a huge gap that exists in the between. I would like to know how can the educational institutions and the corporates get better or maybe collaborate for mutual benefit so that that gap can be fulfilled. So whenever a student come out of a college or maybe to a corporate or maybe there needs to be gap. So what do you think how these collaboration could happen?
It's a massive problem. Lakshit, can't be eliminated overnight. Firstly, we'll have to change the curriculum of our colleges, and at least introduce curriculums that are more realistic, corporate in nature. So let's say, let's you enter an entry level job in a corporate, irrespective of the field, whether it's marketing, HR, finance, ops, sales, product tech, doesn't matter. There are some fundamental aspects that you need to have, like taking initiative, that okay, if there is a work that is coming in, I will pick that up first. Like gaining basic knowledge of what is expected out of you, and therefore being able to fulfill those metrics on a regular basis. Like making sure you come on time in office and leave on time if needed, or at least come on time in office from a discipline perspective, right? Like knowing what to wear and what not to wear in a corporate. These sounds very basics, but these are not taught in our colleges. Now,
Right.
when a corporate eventually wants to hire you at, let's say, a 3 lakh salary or a 4 lakh salary or a 5 lakh salary, they are not looking at you to kind of change the way India works, right? They are looking at you that can you do your job well, the fundamentals of your job well. And if that becomes a part of the curriculum in colleges, half of the problem can be solved. Where unfortunately, let's say in engineering college, I'm a mechanical engineer myself, we are still teaching machines and lathe machines and how to drill and how to weld. That will come later. What comes first is, can you actually become a suited human being for that corporate to at least survive. And
Yeah.
so first that needs to change. Second, I think corporates expect that freshers will come all prepared when they join the job. That can't happen. Our corporate partners also need to kind of open up to say, okay, I'm okay to groom the candidate for the first 3 4 months, and bring in programs and techniques and L&D partners who are ready to groom freshers from the lesser cities. See, it's not that much of a problem in the top cities of the country, right? I'm right now staying in Delhi. I've studied in Mumbai. I'm born and brought up in Kolkata. There, it's not a problem. But as soon as you go to the lesser tier 2, 3, 4 cities, grooming is missing, English communication is missing, confidence is missing, ability to express yourself is missing. Maybe they're bright academically, but because of these factors, they are not getting the best jobs. Forget best jobs, even entry level jobs. So corporates need to be prepared to say, I will get good students, but I'll put in 2 to 3 months to groom them to get prepared for a corporate life, rather than saying I'll get students ready as soon as they join. So both parties need to change a little, but it's a massive change.
Right, and definitely, but when if we see from a 30,000 feet from a corporate perspective, it takes a lot of investment when they have to in that grooming process. It
Yeah.
appears that the company they are just giving some token amount of money to the all the employees as well in their grooming process, in the training period as well. But again, they invest a lot of money as well there in that process. But I believe somewhere the personal awareness needs to be there, because if one could be aware that we are now joining a corporate world, we have to understand the fundamentals, we have to upskill ourselves, then it would be much better. And coming to the first point that you have made, so what we did, so what personally my experience has been some very amazing with all these educational institutions. I have been training all these education institutions for quite a while, and the problem that I saw is they are trying to introduce new terms like the new corporate technologies, that is AI, some languages like Python, C++, and whatnot. But still, now they have introduced it like they are just helping the student so that they can understand those concepts and start from a very young age. But now that again became a passing the exam kind of sort of stuff, right? So that
Mhm.
mentality, I believe the mentality needs to be changed, not the curriculum. Somewhere maybe curriculum, government is trying a lot to change the curriculum, right? I have seen especially the private organizations are trying to do it. But
Yeah.
again, that mentality, if it remains same, there won't be any much effect. So, and again, there is one more follow-up question I would like to ask. What do you think, how has the corporate expectation changing post COVID?
Yeah, that's one positive thing that has happened because of an unfortunate incident like COVID. I think at least now, in terms of bringing in a blended structure of online as well as offline, has been widely accepted now. As we would see in the beginning, in maybe a decade back, that there is a 9 to 5 job, and this is 8 hours, this is what is supposed to be done by you. From there we have moved on to more an outcome focused profile, that you are saying that this is expected out of you, and you decide in how much time you want to do it, or in what way you want to pull it off. So the online and offline blended structures have definitely come in from a corporate perspective, and that's kind of helping organizations like me, because corporates are not looking for face to face interviews anymore. For example, they're happy with online interviews, also online L&D interventions and programs, also even online training sessions also before it starts. So that kind of helps in scale of organizations like me also, than looking at very asset heavy, a lot of experience centers that I would have ideally would have wanted to build maybe 10 years back. Now it's a thing in the past. Secondly, I think most corporates are now comparatively more open to the fact that people will have multiple phases in their career. Before it was childhood, education, then job, then retirement. Now, after COVID, there is a realization that we will have to keep learning and relearning in between our careers also. So now the progress is education, work, then again education, then again work, then maybe a career break, then maybe education again, then work. So it's become a lot more flexible from even the corporate side. Even career breaks are not looked at in a way that would have been looked at a decade back. So I feel some very positive changes have come in post COVID.
That, yeah, totally agree with all the expression that you made. And now, what are your thoughts about generative AI and all the new technologies that are coming into the market? And what do you think how this will change the the future aspiration or expectations of maybe a corporates or maybe from the educational institution perspective?
So there's so much said right now about generative AI. I don't know what I can add to it, but I feel that AI should be more a slave rather than a master. Is if founders and CEOs think of AI of how they can use it to make their task much easier than what it is, rather than asking AI to build businesses or organizations for them. That's where I think the shift kind of comes in. For example, as I mentioned, I look at a business problem and I think, how can AI solve it for me? Rather than looking at AI and thinking, where all can I put AI in my business? So that way it has helped me kind of get solutions to multiple situations and problems that I have had in business. AI helps me in content development. AI helps me in hiring people. AI helps me in, as I mentioned, various modules like interview preparation, in appraisal modules, in how to prepare for corporate meetings modules, etc. AI these days even helps me in scheduling my calendar and scheduling interviews across organizations across a large scale. So these were all business problems for me at one point of time that AI has helped me. And I would encourage all other leaders, also various organizations, to look at AI as a tool, rather than something that will automatically change their lives.
Definitely, there has been a lot of buzz around AI, right? So, before knowing your future vision, I would like to know, where do you seek? So, what are the challenges, right? What are the challenges in this upskilling model? Do you feel? Because every business has its own challenges. What do you think? What is the biggest challenge in this model?
See, I think my focus has been the tier 2, 3, 4 cities. My biggest challenge has been that upskilling is a latent need. People feel that they'll get a job because they are graduates, which is not the truth. And when I go and tell them that you need to get yourself upskilled in these four things, only then you'll get a job, they feel that no, no, this is not the case. I have a MBA degree or a BCom degree or a BA degree. I'm supposed to get a job because of that. Now that mind shift, you spoke about mentality in between, that mind shift is something that maybe tier 1 में आ गया है, but the rest of the cities of the country will still take a little time to realize that this is something that is really needed. And therefore, when I go to someone and say that okay, you have to do an interview preparation course for let's say $5,000, they tell me, oh, why will I invest $5,000? They would have given 3 lakhs for graduation, where they have not landed a job, but they are still circumspect about investing maybe 5,000 more on themselves so that they actually become confident. So that's the biggest one. Second, I think we as a country need to become more professional in nature. I think it's more. It's I'm saying more out of disappointment rather than something maybe we would want to change. Because when I say professional, I mean that a corporate works in a certain way, right? There are certain annual cycles, quarterly cycles that we need to build. There are certain performance expectations that we need to have, but that is
Right.
not necessarily how our children are brought up in all the cities of our country. So that's another challenge. People don't turn up for interviews. When they get a job, they don't turn up to join. They would have five offers in hand, and therefore would not necessarily inform on time when something doesn't happen. So over a period of time, that's another thing that I would want to kind of build our youth with. That can you be transparent and honest, and therefore a little more professional in the way you are growing and building up, which will help India also to become more advanced faster.
100% agree with your points. Now, from challenges to the future vision, where do you see cracked in next 5 years, and especially in the terms of the impact on the educational landscape?
See, I think even if I am able to influence 5% of the current problem, I would have done a big task. And when I say current problem, I mean let's say out of 5 million, if I'm able to impact zero point 0.5 million, 5 lakh students every year, that's the first goal that we have taken. We want to reach 1 million impact by 2025. In fact, if you go to my social media profile, it says that can we impact 1 million people by 2025. That's about half a million in the next 2 years, which is about 10% of the current problem, if we are able to address. Now, when I say impact, I mean that they are now aware that they need to work on themselves to build a better future. They don't necessarily need to all study with me or do my courses, but through the Cracked Institute, if they have been given that awareness that okay, I need to work on my spoken communication skills, otherwise no one will give me a job. I need to work on my negotiation skills in order to grow in life, from let's say an individual contributor to a people manager to a senior manager to one day a CEO maybe. So that realization is the impact that I'm talking about, which will hopefully eliminate the unemployability in our country. I keep mentioning our country is more suffering from unemployability than unemployment. You go to a college 100 kilometers from a big city and then meet the 100 students there, ask them to introduce themselves, one person will raise their hand if you're lucky. And
Right.
that's the situation. I mean, why are 100 people not raising their hand in such basic things like introducing themselves? There is lack of confidence, there is insecurity, there is an inferiority complex that most students are suffering from in order to come up confidently and speak. That is the awareness I'm talking about. If I can eliminate that 10% of the problem year on year for the next 2 3 years, I'll be very happy. In a decade's time, I mean, if I actually can work with 5 lakh students, I'll maybe build a decacon only by that. forget about a unicorn. In a decade's time, hopefully crack does all of this profitably. One more thing that I have a clear vision is I don't want to build an organization and edtech institute that is not making money. And in that way I will be unfair to my stakeholders, my shareholders, my employees, everyone, and to myself. I am from a very small city of Kharagpur myself. I have never understood business that doesn't make money. So that way, another clear vision that I have is I want to make it a profitable venture right from day one. And while I build and satisfy that mission, hopefully it remains profitable also.
Though we have a very less time left, I really want to know, I'm very curious about this question, what is success, what are your matrices of success? Is it the number of impact, is the number of enrollment in the maybe the course or whatnot? So what are the matrices of success for you?
I think we recently got certified by Ivy Publishing and Harvard Publishing for this measure of success only, and therefore I'm mentioning it here. For me, success is if a student is improved by a little bit from point A to point B. We call it the skillometer. Let's say you come to me saying that I want to learn storytelling skills, and I do a pre-assessment with you, and I tell you that you are 4 on 10 on storytelling right now by asking you 20 different questions and understanding your storytelling benchmark. After you do my course, if you move from 4 on 10 to 5 on 10, even there is a 10% improvement, that is success for me. That Lakshit came to me and now he has improved in that particular skill because I have been able to contribute and impact. And if I can do it with millions of people where they have changed from point A to point B, I think that's what true success will be.
That's fantastic. And to wrap up this podcast for all the aspiring entrepreneurs in the education or tech sector, what advice you would like to give based on your experience that of these industry?
No, I think I would want to leave them with the thought that if you want to start something of your own, passion is a very, very important thing. There is so much failures that comes to entrepreneurs that is not spoken about. In today's day and age of Shark Tank and a lot of entrepreneurs coming up, it feels that it's the coolest thing to do. It's not. It's actually the toughest thing to do. And if you're
Right.
really, really, really passionate about something, if you really want to bring a change in something, that's what will keep you going. So first find out what you love is the advice I would want to give them. Once you find that out, then there is no limit to making it big in that space.
Right. Thank you for that kind advice and really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us for this podcast and sharing your kind insights to all our listeners. And to all our listeners, we hope you with this episode you got some fresh perspective on the evolving landscape of the education sector and the opportunities that lie ahead. And see you next time. Until next time, and signing off the podcast series. Keep innovating and keep learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.